first of all, this does something that Suicide Squad and even James Gunn's very own The Suicide Squad were not fully allowed to do because the studios were a bunch of bitches and they were afraid to actually let these characters be what they are. And that is villains.
Yeah.
You know, look, the Commandos even tell you, they say, don't even call us villains. Bitch, we're monsters. We do way worse than villains out there. Tickets for my night of sit-down comedy at the Broadway Comedy Club are selling pretty fast, so get your tickets by clicking the links below. Let's go ahead and get into one of the things we came here to talk about today. You know, the new, that brand new, not that old shit. We talking about that new DCU is coming up. Courtesy of your man right here, James Gunn. Look at him. He's like, I am DC Jesus. And so that's why I want to talk about what we're getting ready to review right now. This is a review, but it's also a discussion of this is the thing that is kicking off the new DC, the DC universe, whatever you want to call it. Extended universe, I don't know what the hell they call it. Anyway, but we know that now with this thing that we're talking about here, and that is Creature Commandos. This is supposed to be the official kickoff of the new DC universe. It's a show, 7 episodes. It's on streaming, not even at the theater, and it's animated. So I wanted to get into a discussion of whether or not this is a proper and good start for the new DC. On the new DCU, or if they should have went with something else, because a lot of people are putting a lot of hope and faith in DC Jesus right here, and we're going to talk about whether that is starting to meet expectations or not. Keep in mind that we got a lot to deal with right now. Not only the reputation of DC from the past, which even with their hits, still as a whole bombed horribly. It was a mess. It was terrible. Also, you know, I hate to use the word or the label or the term, but there is superhero fatigue. Even Marvel can't keep up with what they're doing, but they're a mess too. You know, so this man has a lot going against him. And the premiere with this, even as a soft launch, is pretty bold. Was it worth it? We'll talk about that as well as the series itself. But as far as speaking about the series, we'll get into that right now. People, we're talking about Creature Commandos. And you haven't heard about this yet, because it's still a lot of people, a lot of the casuals out there probably have not heard about any of these characters or what this is about. But y'all remember the Suicide Squad? Turns out that the government has shut down the Suicide Squad project. No humans should be subjected to the kind of cruelty that they have to have dealt with. Especially the audiences with this movie. Yeah, we can relate, y'all, very much. Very much.
And have you heard that David Ayer is on Twitter like less than a week ago? He's like, man, I got that Ayer cut. Who wants to see it? Yeah. And nobody is like looking at that
We're
shit.
done with that. Yeah. I mean, I love David Ayer. He gave me one of my favorite movies of all time, but we moved on, bro.
Yeah. We had moved on when it happened.
Yeah, we're tired of the Snyder cut. What makes you think we want the Ayer cut? This is a death by slow cuts.
Right.
I'm tired of it. I don't need no more cuts.
Yeah. Zack Snyder fooled everybody.
Yeah.
Now we know.
Yeah, you kind of talk about Ayer cut years later. Man, we done been through damn 2 different groups of Suicide Squad people.
Post it on YouTube.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, there you go, man.
You should see some of like these posters that he's made. It looks like lazy fan-made posters. They're ugly photoshops.
Yeah, I love David Ayer. He's giving me some great films, but man, we don't need this one right here. Go on, do something else, man. You know,
that's a great idea.
Yeah, you good, man. You need to be messing with this old shit no more. But as far as this, as I said, they said no more humans for the Suicide Squad. It's too cruel. But Amanda Waller is like, well, what the did it do? I mean, there's this crazy Amazon bitch out here, flying around. She got magic powers, and she wants to assassinate the princes of a European country that the U.S. actually depends on for certain resources. And now you telling me I can't use no supervillains to cope with this. But as we all know, Amanda Waller, she always has a trick up her sleeve. And she says, all right, I found a loophole here. Can't use humans? I'll use non-humans. I'll get myself a corpse, a robot, a fish woman, a weasel man. Right there. I got one of those too. Look, Pixie kind of looking like that. Looking at my eyes right there.
What would Dr. Phosphorus count as? Because he's human, really.
He's a glowing skeleton that melts people. So, he ain't really human. He's a skeleton.
He's gas.
Yeah, that's all. Okay. Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
Yeah. So no, I'll go ahead and get those together. That counts, right? These are not humans. They're not even superhumans. They are monsters, creatures, if you will. And so for this latest mission, she has assembled them in hopes that they can carry it out like the last teams that she's had out there. Let's go ahead and look at the trailer for Creature Commandos. We'll talk about that, give our opinions and reviews of the show, and talk about if this really is worthy of launching the new DC universe.
Shish kebab!
Well, I like that. Yeah, get him, skeleton man. So for those who are not familiar with the Creature Commandos, you might have met them before in a more kid-friendly atmosphere. I think they were on the Batman, the
animated series.
Yeah, the Brave and the Bold.
Oh, Brave and the Bold.
I think there was a whole crew of different team members, mostly.
What are they waiting for? They are waiting for me.
Oh, shit.
Damn, Barney looks different right now.
Yeah, he got a glow up.
But yeah, so you saw they had like a Medusa and a Frankenstein monster and a werewolf. I think there was a Dracula in there. Yeah. So, mostly different team members.
That's more the classic Creature Commandos.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Okay, so you might have seen them before in that fashion, but what we have here is still animated, but this is way more adult. But it might be still easy to laugh this off as kid stuff because other than also being animated, it's over the top silly with his actions and his characters. Like I said, with this, you saw the characters when they did the whole slow-mo walk earlier. You had there they go. You got like the bride, and you got a fish woman. What's her name? Nina.
Yeah, Nina Mazursky.
Yeah, Frankenstein monster, and like I said, a weasel man. All just again, like when you describe them, the characters sound kind of silly, and the humor in this at times can get very goofy.
We are so much like Americans, yes? We like to say, "Wazza!"
You're certainly current with your popular cultural references.
Thank you.
so you see how the humor is, and that's typical James Gunn.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Now, you saw 2 episodes, right?
I saw the whole thing.
Oh, how'd you see the whole thing? Did they finally send it to you?
Yeah.
Oh, excellent. Yeah. Excellent. Okay, so you saw the whole thing.
I saw 5.
You saw 5 episodes. Okay, so you're missing 2. Mm-hmm. So that's a good chunk to really get a good
I feel
idea.
like I have seen enough that I can speak on it.
Yeah, no, that is a really good enough episodes to like talk about it, especially some of the more important things, because I'm just curious about how you guys feel. Of course, I don't come in with any kind of assumptions about your opinions. So you might agree with me, you might disagree with me, but I think that when you look past the gore, the over the top action and silliness and the nature of the characters and whatnot, I think that there's a lot of great writing here. I think the character development is surprisingly amazing in this.
It was Friday night and I sat down to watch it, and they'd sent me all of them, but since 2 of them were on HBO Max, I was like, well, let's go ahead and watch these there rather than on my computer for the rest. And I'm thinking I'm going to watch these 2, probably save the rest for later. I don't care. And the first episode, I thought, well, this is good. Second episode, I was like, this suddenly gotten better because we started doing backstories and doing the character development you're talking about. So I was like, well, let's go ahead and watch that third one. From the third one on, I couldn't stop.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Nothing was going to stop me from watching all of them back to back.
Of what I've seen, the third one was my favorite.
Yeah, I don't, and I'm going to keep it very vague. I don't, because we're not going to tell y'all what happens because there's a lot of stuff that is very, like I said, very surprising here, because this show is pretty much is pitched to you as an action comedy.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not, man. I mean, no, it is, but there's so much more to it. But see, first of all, this does something that Suicide Squad and even James Gunn's very own The Suicide Squad were not fully allowed to do, because the studios were a bunch of bitches and they were afraid to actually let these characters be what they are. And that is villains.
Yeah.
You know, look, the Commandos even tell you, they say, don't even call us villains. Bitch, we're monsters. We do way worse than villains out there. They do some cruel and horrible things.
The gore is off the charts.
Oh, it's insane. There's a lot of people that don't deserve it. There's a lot of people that die
Horribly.
by the hands of what's supposed to be our heroes.
It's the most violent cartoon I've seen since Metalocalypse.
I would say, that's a pretty good one. I was going to say Invincible, that last episode of season 1.
Yeah.
That one goes there too, for sure.
But because I said to myself, I was watching this and I was like, man, these characters are real pieces of shit. And then I had to say to myself, yeah, you idiot, that's the point. They're villains. Like, they go hard. Like, when you watch Suicide Squad, I won't put that down. Unless he's a new member. When you watch the Suicide Squad, our Suicide Squad, they're made out to be heroes. All of a sudden, they don't live up to any of their hype or their backgrounds or their history. They don't live up to any of their villainy.
And even when you go like, well, they're kind of asshole-ish, it's like, yeah, but they've been captured and they're forced to do this. Anybody would act that way.
Yeah, they've been watered down from these so-called villains because the studios don't want to make audiences uncomfortable, and they don't want to lose money. Now, this is probably one of the reasons why this went to be a series, because you're dealing with like completely unsavory characters. And that's putting it lightly. They're assholes, man. They're just most of them, not all of them. But they are horrible, horrible beings. They, like you said, the gore is off the chain. Yeah, but beneath all the gore and the horrible acts that they do, there's a lot of depth to this show.
Oh, so much. That's the thing. From the second episode on, they spend half the episode focused on one character showing you their backstory. And I haven't had this experience since Lost, where you feel one way and they go like, well, let me show you what happened before this. And you go, oh, dang, that changes everything.
Yeah.
And some of the characters that have always been really well done, like that we've seen before that they're bringing back, they're always kind of in the background. Now they finally gave them a chance to breathe so you can see a more well-rounded version of them.
Yeah, like he was saying, each character gets a backstory, man. And, and it is showing what made them this way, or that they've been wronged. And sometimes it makes, the humans just as bad as they are. Some are more sympathetic than others, because one character is like, I'm sorry for what happened to you, but you, man. I mean, really, this is bad, but you didn't have to be like this. And by the way, that character I'm talking about, they made some really bad decisions before we even got their backstory, or before they got to the point of where they are. So it's like, you were just a dumbass anyway.
Yeah, a lot of these characters are very gray, and it plays with you where it's like you like someone, and then you're like, man, this guy.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But but what it does, whatever the severity of their villainy is, or their evil, or their criminal minds, or whatever, it goes to show that all of them haven't completely lost their soul or their humanity. Like if there's at least one point, it could even be brief, where they show you that, okay, this person still has some shred of human sympathy and kindness in them, and I thought that was great, man. So, watching this, I was like, man, you know what? This is really like Guardians of the Galaxy 3, except a more adult version of it, because it's got James Gunn's goofy humor in there, but this time with more violence and sex. But also, if you've seen Guardians of the Galaxy, surprisingly, there was also a lot of dark, tragic stuff in there. And it also has a lot of heart and emotion, which is why this was like probably the best of what Marvel had done that year.
Right.
When this came out.
And what James Gunn is really good at doing, and this exemplifies it, the Creature Commandos, is that it is larger than life and out there, but it still feels incredibly grounded and so believable, even as a cartoon.
By the time you get to episode 4, it's heartbreaking and it's unflinching. You know, for an animated show, they show some images that are really hard to watch. I'm not saying as an animated fan. If you see this show, there are certain things that happen to certain people that no matter what form it's in, it's like, okay, that's rough to watch.
Yeah.
And they do that here, man.
It felt like when he was writing it that he's like, I don't know what budget I'm going to have for this. Like, this could have been live action. It would have been way more expensive.
Yeah.
But it has this feeling of a live action TV
It does.
show.
But the studios wouldn't have let them do this in live action. They wouldn't have let these characters be as violent as they are and with no remorse. Because these characters a lot of them don't really have a lot of remorse for what they're doing. Every now and then they'll reflect on something and say, okay, let me stop being a piece of shit. You know, let me do something kind of.
Yeah, or let me actually protect this one innocent person.
Yeah, but this is why this is a series. Studio wouldn't spend $200 or $100 million or $150 million.
The last time he got to do something like this was when he made Super.
Yeah, that was on a low budget.
Yeah, low budget.
But this is the kind of thing that the studios would have said, if we can't make these characters heroes and we can't make them likable, because, you know, or we can't make them do things that doesn't push the audience away, then then we can't do it. But that, you know, again, it makes them more impactful when you do see a shred of humanity inside of them.
Sure.
You know, that's what it's all about. All right, can I talk about my balls real quick? Just real quick. I got to give a word out to our sponsors.
Yeah, I don't know how you would have segued into it, so this is fine.
I'm not going to even try to segue to it. I was thinking about saying, you know, this show has balls. And speaking of balls, my balls. But no, I just want to ask you if I can just stop and talk about my balls real quick.
Is this going to be show and tell?
Yes, it is going to be. But I'm going to show what makes my balls so nice.
Oh, okay.
And tell you about it. I wish I could show you. I wish I could show you my actual balls right now.
So glad you can't.
Because no, I wish I could. You be impressed because they are so smooth. And look, I was telling Martin about this the other day. I was not doing a commercial or doing an ad read. I was telling you how much I love this Manscaped and what they call it here. You can see right here. It is, and let me find it here. It is called the Manscaped. It is the Lawnmower 5.0 right here. And the reason why I love this so much, it comes in a package called the Performance Package from Manscaped. People, I do have to give a word out to our sponsor right now, which is Manscaped, which is bringing me this beautiful device right here. And it is beautiful. It is a wonderful piece
Very
of technology. Sleek. It is. They have this thing called the Performance Package 5.0 Ultra. It comes with quite a few things here. It comes with the Lawnmower 5.0, which is pretty much your ball trimmer. But it also comes with the Weed Whacker. That's it right here, and I got it right here too. That is the ear and nose hair trimmer. It also comes, and people, I have never been so into grooming my groin as much as I am right now. They got this ball deodorant right here and I use it. You damn right I use it.
Is that what it's called? Ball deodorant?
It is called ball deodorant, sir. Crop preserver.
Okay. All right.
But let me tell you, they're telling me all these selling points to tell you right here, and I would read them to you. But let me tell you why I really love this, because I do trim my groin, I do trim my testicles, and I everything else down there. And the thing is, I've used devices before where if you just nick just a little bit, you bleeding all over the place. It's very sensitive down there. This comes with a light on it. This does not, you can go in and it does not nick at all.
Really?
It does not cut.
Nickless.
Yes. It is very, very sensitive to your area, and it has not cut me at all. Here, I'm going to actually, speaking of price, take some of the price off for you if you use our code right here. Get 20% off plus free shipping when you use the code TOASTED at manscaped.com. It'll make a great Christmas gift for those in your life that have balls. It'll be a great gift for yourself. And I want to thank Manscaped for not only gifting me this right here. I enjoy it, love it very much, but I want to thank them for sponsoring this portion of the show. And I want to thank all of you out there for your support. All right, getting back to, you want to try it right now? Here.
I just want to sniff it.
Yeah. Smells good. I'm using ball deodorant, sir. Let me see here. Watching this, man, I'm talking about how all these characters they have some shred of humanity still in them. They do something kind at some point, no matter how bad they are. But man, I really felt bad for a couple of characters because they didn't even belong there.
No.
Listen, I'm not going to get into too much detail, but poor Nina and Weasel, man, to a certain extent, they shouldn't have been there. There was some discrimination shit going on with them. They're just there because they look weird.
Right.
Freaks.
Yeah, freaks. Yeah, I really felt bad for them, man.
Especially with one of them to say like, well, they're not human. I'm like, yeah, they kind of
It's debatable, yeah. And actually, the show, they introduced a little something in there where somebody's coming in and trying to legally help them. I'm not gonna say who or what, but it's there's a lot of fun social commentary in the show.
And there's some stuff that was almost like a throwaway line in The Suicide Squad about the Weasel that we hear later on in the show that I was like, wow, you gave this moment.
Wait, are we spoiling anything here?
No.
Okay.
You just gave the character so much more depth than like just some gags.
Well, the Weasel does get expanded out to be more than just a running joke. Yeah, man. And like I said, a lot of these characters, they get very deep with these characters in a way that you would not expect. It's fun. It is silly in some parts. And they know it, but it's one of those shows where if it was in less talented hands, that's all it would have been. It's a big joke.
Yeah, I mean, you want to talk about talented hands. This to me is what TV shows should be like. They're 20 minutes apiece, and there's no fat, nothing.
I agree with that.
Every scene is so goddamn tight.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why it was easy to binge it. Not only because it was so good, but the episodes weren't overly long. And yeah, you're right. There's no fat. It's cut down to what you need, and it has a huge impact.
It really does.
And at the end of an episode, you're like, I got to watch the next one.
Yeah, man. Another thing about this is animated, so the budget's a little high. Because animation costs a lot to produce, and it shows. Animation is great, especially when they get to some of the action scenes here. So that's why they have to keep it short. But I mean, shows still should learn from this, man.
And the animation is consistent, something that's been a problem with even things like Invincible that are great, where it's like, this scene looks great, this one not so much. This across the board, like there's no like part where the quality dips, at least as far as to the 5th episode, how I've seen it.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that very much. Yeah, a lot. I mean, I'm not saying every show has to be 20 minutes, but man, we see when you watch something like this and then go watch something that's like an hour an episode, it's like, man, you really did not need to be that long.
Right.
Putzing around, just get to the point.
I love Penguin. I even said Penguin could have trimmed some stuff off of there, but I'm talking about my time. I just like to get up and go.
I was like, come on, man, that was fleshed out. That worked.
No, I can find places that get like, oh, come on, man. We don't need this montage right there.
I mean, if you're going to use that, if you're going to have all that real estate, use it.
Yeah.
This shows knows what it's doing.
Yeah. Some cameos in here, just in case you're wondering. I'm not going to tell you who, of course, but some of these cameos that you see in here, some are definitely blink and miss it. Others have long scenes, and some you can even see in the trailer. I'm not going to say anything, but you do see that they all have a purpose. Even if it's for a brief moment. Nobody's put in there to be like, hey, oh my God, that thing. I'm curious to see how all this will connect too, because at some point, you have characters that are already being shown to show up in certain movies that are coming up. Rick Flag Sr., who's voiced by Frank Grillo, is going to be popping up like in Superman and a few other things. We were talking, Jake, about some continuity errors. Frank Grillo apparently he said, I'm putting all that shoe polish in my beard and hair. Here, the characters are all gray.
Yeah, I was wondering about that.
So I don't know. What they do, though, is explain, because if you know the history of this character, in the Suicide Squad and in Suicide Squad, Rick Flag Jr. Was his son. And everybody's like, well, they don't look to have that much age difference between them, the actors at least. They explain it in the show. It's not as deep as you think it is. It's easily explained. Speaking of the voice work, I think the cast that they have here is great. You can see all the people here. I thought Indira Varma as the bride did excellent.
Oh, wait, she the one from Game of Thrones?
Game of Thrones.
And Luther? Okay,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah, that's her.
She's Turkish, right?
Yeah. Don't say, don't remind me. What you trying to say, man?
You're praising her so hard. I was like, what's going on?
No, hell no. If she's in this room, like, get away from me. I've had too much turkey in my life.
You wouldn't be able to resist.
No, you're right.
I was very fond of her character, and I feel like I can say this because it was in the first 2 episodes. Her story kind of reminded me of Poor Things a little bit.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, yeah.
Well, Poor Things is based on the Bride of Frankenstein.
Yeah,
So-
exactly.
So this is the launch of the new DCU, but clearly this is in the same universe as Peacemaker, which has already been out there.
Can you explain this? 'Cause
Yes,
I don't
James
know.
Gunn has said, look, it's not going to make any sense because the studio made him Peacemaker. So, well, like, for example, at the end of the first season of Peacemaker, the Justice League shows up that's not going to be involved anymore.
Right.
So he said, if we mention it, it's canon. Otherwise, forget about it.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
So just don't think about it.
Yeah, just don't worry
Yeah.
about it. Like, it's going to be convoluted for a second, but let us cook.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Well, so far I'm enjoying what I'm eating, but I do have a complaint because I know I'm praising this movie or the show rather. Thank you. I'm praising this show and I do mean it. There's some great stuff in here. I think we're talking about how serious it takes itself when it gets to the tragedy and the backstories and whatnot. But then, like I said, it's very over the top and silly sometimes. So I think the writing is uneven in some parts because it's got some clever ideas in there, man. It's got some very clever ideas. David Harbour as Frankenstein. He does a great job doing the voice. I love Frankenstein in this because they take this whole thing of like, the bride was created for him, and of course the first date didn't go well.
Yeah.
So, but here he's a creepy stalker.
Oh yeah.
I love that they like
they've expanded on what we saw already.
No, that is true. Because what they do is because there's a great montage showing how creepy of a stalker that he is, and it's almost again a social comment on how guys are just creepy stalkers sometimes.
Also a little bit of a cuck.
Yeah, a little, you'll see.
You kind of set him off.
Yeah, but and some of this, like you say, they've expanded on how the character is in the novel, especially with him being like a child. He's more like a bratty teenager. He throws tantrums. He's naive, but he's big as and strong. So his tantrums are deadly, and that's cool. I think maybe sometimes they played him up too much for laughs, given his murderous nature. But at the same time, I do think it's great what they did with the character.
I feel like a lot of the goofier humor and then playing him for laughs happens in like the first 2 or 3 episodes, but the longer it goes on, it's less slapstick.
I do think some of the social messaging in the movie could have been written better. You have the character of the sorceress Cersei, who's the main villain in here. Her army, as you see right here, are a bunch of neckbeard incels. And they are. And I think it's uneven because at one point they're dumbasses, but then at another point they're all taking out a high-tech army. And I'm like, that doesn't seem to make sense to me. And also, I don't think the ending is, I think it's wrapped up too quickly because given what is at stake, what we know could happen, they didn't really give a whole lot of explanation as to how that would have come about or how we would have done things. At least for me, I thought they could have done more with that, but it felt like it was kind of rushed near the end. I would give this a very enthusiastic high matinee. I sometimes the tones don't always balance out well, but I thought it's very good.
Yeah, I'm more of a full price because I thought it hit all the buttons. And as far as the unevenness and the goofiness, like I said, I felt that in the first episode when I thought, well, this seems okay. Not so different from Harley Quinn, and it could start going the way of Kite Man.
Which Kite Man?
Well, the show Kite Man, like Harley Quinn was, brilliant show, amazing. Especially first couple seasons. The third season felt like it was kind of dropping off a little bit, and they do the spinoff Kite Man, but it was kind of a one-note joke that they try to expand, and you're like, it's an okay cartoon, but it's not near what any of this was.
Okay.
So from this first episode, I was like, well, if it's going to stay like this, it'll be fine. But from the second, especially the third episode on, I was like, man, this is one of the best things that's been out for a while. Yeah, it's my only real problem with this was that it was only 7 episodes instead of 8. I mean, everybody does 8 episodes and they went 7. I was like, I feel like we could have got one more out of this.
That's why I say when it wrapped up too quickly. I think it could have used another episode. You know, but you know, anyway.
Yeah, I guess I like this the most out of all of us, but I haven't seen the whole thing yet. The only thing that we haven't talked about that kind of knocks it down a notch for me, but I can get over it, is the needle drop thing with James Gunn. He's known for his songs and the thing that he does with music and all these superhero things, Guardians or the Suicide Squad. It happens here. Some of it wasn't noticeable. There was a few times where I was like, man, why are you bringing so much attention to this music? I wish that wasn't there. But that's very, very minor. So far, I'm up to episode 5. I'm going to watch the rest right after we're done recording this. I'd give it a high full price, and it could go even higher.
So do I think that this is a worthy launch for the new DC universe? And the thing is, man, me giving this even a high matinee, this already is better than 95%. This one show, this one show with some of these characters that most people haven't heard of is better than 95% of what that universe tried to do last time.
Right.
If they can keep consistent, you know, then that's because the thing is, if they can bring this kind of depth, emotion, and character building and development to all these different other projects, no matter what the tone is or the genre is, then they'll be in good shape.
Well, isn't there a concern that because this is animation, he can do everything he wants, but when he gets to live action, he can't, so it's going to be a lot tougher?
Well, this required animation. You know, Superman is not going to require this kind of level right here. I mean, it all depends on what, you know, it's not so much how wild somebody can get. It's how you tell your story.
Yeah.
Now, I will say that James Gunn, I think he's going to have to be careful with how he handles Superman. And I have faith in that he can do it now, now. I'm
definitely
not worried about it, but you know, Superman, I was talking about this with Jake. Superman is not Creature Commandos. We can't get all kind of wild and crazy and violent. We know that James Gunn sense of humor that, you know, that is, you know, kind of sick and twisted. That can't be applied to Superman. Right. Superman has to be pure. Superman has to be, you know, everybody likes to use the word Boy Scout. Superman has to be all about hope and, you know, and all about almost to a point where this guy is so hopeful, he's almost naive in a way, you know. Think about Chris Reeve's Superman. That's how he was. He was just like, he was very confident, but he was always so positive.
Yeah.
You know, and that's, I think, there's a certain level of innocence that has to go with Superman, even, you know, because that's what it was. Superman was always so positive, even when the world was just crazy and dark.
Yeah, it was more like, yeah, I see what's going on, but I have hope.
Yeah.
I know how this can be fixed or how it can be better.
I'm thinking that he's kind of setting up his whole world and the movie's going to be focused on Superman, and that's what will help shift the tone from this. Because you're right, this is coming across as extremely goofy.
Yeah, and it's, like I said, it's over the top. But with this, and as I said, with Guardians of the Galaxy, we know that he can handle characters very well. And that's what it's going to come down to.
Yeah.
But man, this right here, first of all, this is better than this feels way more cohesive now, endearing and well written, and with more endearing characters than what DC had been doing before. I mean, compare this to something like Suicide Squad.
Sure.
You know, this silly shit right here.
That Will Smith movie.
Yeah, you know, and then I would even say that it's with as dark as this is, James Gunn is already doing something more interesting than Marvel's doing. You know, it's Marvel might be starting to take risks now that we have Deadpool out there. But again, see, that's why I gave Deadpool a matinee. Maybe I give it a high matinee because I really enjoyed the movie. But you know, it was really a lot of in jokes and Easter eggs and whatnot, where, you know, this feels like something that's a well-written story.
Do you think that it's going to work the way that they're setting this up, that these characters are animated right now, but we could see them in live action at some point?
I think so. I mean, there's an adjustment already. You know, look, we already see, they don't know what to do with this man's hair. Look, here's the Creature Commandos here. His hair is black right there. It's all white in the show. It's going to be all black in live action. Yeah. So, I mean, there's little things we got to look past like that. But if you capture the essence of the characters and keep them consistent, it's like, okay, whatever.
Frank, all you got to do is not color your hair.
Nope.
And you might think of me as old. Bro, we can look at you. It's okay.
But he still looks great, man. He's solid. He's built.
Man, you see him in Werewolves. and
He's in Werewolves.
Oh, yeah.
he's the main star of Werewolves. And at one point, they stopped the movie just so he can show off his abs.
Damn.
And when they introduced him, I was like, dude, those veins on your arms, like they look serious.
Yeah.
Man, your hair, ain't nobody gonna be looking at your hair. They gonna look at your body, man.
Right,
You know, come on.
right.
But that looks like old artwork. Like, look at
Yeah.
Mr. Phosphorus. He's
Yeah.
a different color.
No, it does. It's definitely not, I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
It's all different, yeah. I don't know. What are y'all thinking? Y'all like this direction that they're going?
Oh,
right now?
hell yeah.
Yeah. My biggest worry with James Gunn after I saw Peacemaker, I was like, all right, you really like certain things that you put in these stories. Like there's some similarities between the Suicide Squad and Peacemaker, and then that movie that he did. What was it about? What was it called? It was like Parasites or whatever, like the mind control parasites.
Oh, yeah. What was that called?
Yeah,
man?
what was that?
I love that movie, by the way.
Slither.
Yeah.
All three of those things I just mentioned had like mind control, like weird creatures. And I started noticing at the end of Peacemaker. I was like, all right, you did this again.
Yeah.
No more.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that he'll deviate from ideas that we've seen him do.
Yeah.
That was my biggest worry. And this felt fresh somehow.
Yeah. No, I absolutely love parts of this. Like I said, maybe not as a whole, but I think this is really, really amazing in certain parts. And I highly recommend it. It's a great start, I think, to at least as far as setting up expectations. Like I still worry about what they'll probably do, but it's like it's put me at ease to see what they've done here. Well, you made it to the end of the video. That must mean you really like what we do. So if you do, check out these other videos just like this one. Check out our other YouTube channels and subscribe to join our wonderful Toasty community. And as always, stay toasty.